Now this is the 2013 Toyota Corolla. Hi, I'm Hayden Phillips and I've got this toaster here that I picked up from Coles not long ago for quite cheap. Now on it has a cancel button, reheat functions and defrost functions. You can also turn the heat up quite accurately. It has it on both sides. It's also got the high lift feature which allows you to get your toasted a bit better. Now it's loaded with features for a very good price, and well, here's the Toyota Corolla. This is from 2013 and it's the Ascent Sport model. And talking about features, well, it's got reverse camera, reverse parking sensors, and well, that's about it. For $24,000 you don't really get much, but it is a very good looking car. Now this thing rides comfortably on the road, and that's partly thanks to these 16-inch tyres. Now these have got quite a thick sidewall which allow for most of the bumps to be absorbed by them. The bigger bumps you really do feel though, unfortunately, but this thing is just a good all-rounder for just about everything. It corners really well, it feels really nice to drive, and it feels very direct. You know, you feel like you're actually in control of the vehicle on the road. You do get a lot of the sensations of the tarmac and things coming through the steering, but it all adds to the great feel that this car is to drive. So in the front here in the Toyota, we've got a large steering wheel for the size of the car. It's very soft and it's got these little thumb things which you can rest on, which is quite nice when driving along. Down here we have literally 3 dials, and well, that's all we have here. So this one changes your position where you want your air conditioning coming out of. This one does the fans, and this one says how hot or cold you want it. Now that's really boring. Like if we look at the toaster I've got back here, we can actually see it's got 3 buttons on each side. It's got this little knobby thing here. Oh, this one's actually broken. But yeah, we've got these 2 little knobby things here. So this toaster actually has more controls than this car does. Now something that really is important to me in a car is the sound system, and well, Toyota have given us a fairly decent one actually, as you can see here. Now look, that's pretty damn good considering that this is only a $23,000 car. The touchscreen up here is really nice. We have our phone here, so you know, typical phone controls such as dialing out. This one doesn't do any text messaging. This one has a CD player, USB, FM and AM radios, which is quite easy to navigate across. The only thing is there's a little bit of a delay there, which kind of bugs me, because when I click the screen I want it to click straight away. I don't want to wait 5 minutes for it to decide that I've clicked it. But other than that, the steering wheel controls, you know, pretty good. Up and down, change the song. This one changes the mode, so from radio to Bluetooth. Little cruise control down here, which can be easily bumped. Unfortunately, it's very easily bumped. And then all of a sudden you have a thing on the dashboard that says cruise control, and it's like, oh well, I didn't even click that. What's going on here? Very simple hang up and answer, and then you got your display control, which controls a little display down there, as you can see here. All the figures of things, my fuel economy, which is only 8.4, which is very, very good. Very cheap to run on petrol, and that's with spirited driving as well, so not very light on the foot. This one is equipped with a 7-speed CVT transmission, which really makes the engine sound like a lawnmower. It's quite a harsh, you know, not very nice noise on the inside of the car. which is unfortunate, but on the outside it does sound very, very nice. Sort of like a boat, really. It's the only thing I could describe it with. Down here we have the sport button, which makes the CVT rev even harder than you want it to. A nice little gear shifter thing here. It's quite tacky, actually. It's a bit, I don't know, it's just a bit tacky. We also have the reverse camera, which, I mean, well, it's, well, I don't know. Well, this reverse camera, it's kind of, well, 1970s style, really. That's all about it. Oh yeah, we have a clock, actually. That's the other thing that this has. This has a clock. Now, it's a very simple, this is probably something that they've got from the reject shop or something. So yeah, it's quite a disappointing clock, really. Down here we have a little bit of storage. Little tiny pocket there. I mean, you couldn't really put much in there. I'll put my gate key in there. In here we have the lovely cup holders. This one's a little bit deeper. This one's a bit shallow, and you know, if you go around corners a bit fast, it can fall out, which I've experienced a couple times. As you can see here, we've got quite a nice sized glove box here. You can fit a fair few things in here. There's service books and stuff in there. But in the center console, we can fit a few CDs, but there is also this nice little secret compartment where you can probably, if you have a smaller phone, such as this iPhone or something, not even that'll fit in there. But if the headphones were unplugged, they would. But you can store things in there like that, because really no one will really know that there's something there. Air conditioning vents, a little bit interesting here. You know, well, this is quite interesting because it's sort of like a, I don't know, like an airplane or a bus even. Actually, yeah, more like a coach style air conditioning vent there. A little bit of an interesting choice, but it sort of fits in with the dash here with all these round gauges and all these round dials and things. It sort of fits in pretty well. We have the seat belts up here, so this would say, you know, oh yeah, look, Johnny in the back doesn't have his seatbelt on, so it'll come up red here and say they haven't got the seatbelt on. So that's quite handy for when you've got passengers, but that's the other issue with this car. Now, I don't have any leg room back here, so I put my seat in the position that I would normally sit in, and back here I've got literally no leg room at all. Also haven't got any headroom, and if I try to get out, well, you know, I just hit my head because of this massive big wall here. It's like, why would they design it like that, especially if you've got taller passengers in the back? But we do have some cup holders. We do have some nice little cup holders here. That's a good point, I suppose, when you've got the kiddies in the back and you need to, you know, and they have a drink and they can just sit it in there. The other issue I have is this tacky plastic. Like, they just put this crappy plastic back here, which is very, very rough, and it just doesn't feel nice at all. Like, why wouldn't they continue that nice, elegant feeling that you get in the front, in the back here? They just put this crappy plastic stuff in. That's just not on. Now, in the boot here, we actually have quite a big space to sit in. You can fit a fair few things in here, such as a couple toasters maybe, which goes quite well with this car. You can fit a few larger bags if you're travelling, but other than that, there's not really much else you can put back here. But, you know, a fair bit of room back here. It's excellent. Now, this thing does corner really, really well, and we're very thankful for this because as a front-wheel drive car, you know, you'd expect a little bit of understeer and things, but it really doesn't. Toyota designed the chassis very, very well to compensate for that, and it does corner like an absolute train on the tracks. It's so good in the cornering. You know, it just has a little bit more power to go with it. Now, on the open road, this thing really does feel like it runs out of breath because of the low power it has. You know, sitting at 90 to 100 k's an hour, this thing really does just feels like it can't keep up, and it does get quite scary on the open road when you try and overtake someone and all of a sudden this engine just goes and then you're not really going anywhere, which is very unfortunate because for the noise it makes, I'd expect it to actually go quite fast, which it doesn't. So on the open road, it isn't really, you know, it's just a sort of a at your own risk kind of thing when you're on the big highways and stuff and you got to overtake, and but you know, that's just what you got to deal with. You wouldn't really buy this car to go on a long trip with, in my opinion. You'd sort of buy it as a little car to take to the shops or to drive around town. This model does have the CVT, as I said before, and it can get quite horrendous, as I'll demonstrate. It does sound a bit like a lawnmower sometimes, which is quite unfortunate, because when you're spending $24,000 on a car, you kind of want a nice sounding engine. Now, visibility is really good in the Corolla thanks to these small A-pillars and these large windows. The front windscreen is quite big though, but you do get to see a lot out of it. Lets a fair bit of light in. In the back there you've got the privacy tint windows, which is sort of a tint, but it doesn't have any of the heat resistance and things like a normal tint would. It'd be nice if they did it on both the front and the back, because it kind of does look mismatched on the outside. As I said before, it handles the bumps pretty well, but because this is a sport pack and this is a sport model, you know, it does get a little bit bumpy and you nearly feel like you need a kidney belt at some times. Now, in some front-wheel drive cars, torque steer can be an issue, but unfortunately in this one, torque steer isn't a problem because it isn't developing enough torque to have it. So, for someone learning to drive, this car's perfect because there isn't really enough power to get you in trouble. But there is plenty of systems to keep you out of it, including traction control, ABS, EBS, all kinds of ridiculous hyphenated names which don't make much sense. Well, we've come to the end of our video, and well, to sum up this, well, for the money, $24,000, it is quite a lot, but you do get a little bit. You get a good looking car, you get nice paint, you get a fairly simple inside. Now, the people who'd be looking for this would either be old people, first car buyers, or someone with no sense of style. Now, if you're looking for a spacious family car or even a hot hatchback, this just doesn't cut it.